So your agency was acquired by Lead.io, where you're now a partner and the head of search operations. Lead.io is likely the biggest lead generation agency in the Netherlands. I'm pretty sure it is the biggest lead generation agency in the Netherlands. And it is one of the biggest in the entire world. But as a company, you operate an internal portfolio of assets and websites to generate leads for your own brands and clients rather than delivering a productized or a customized kind of deliverable service like most agencies offer and most lead generation agencies offer as well. And I actually really like this business model as it's easier to sell to clients, it's more scalable, and most of all, which I like the most, it's more profitable, right? So welcome to the channel. Would you like to introduce yourself? Bart Van Der Meer, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, thank you for that introduction. Yeah, so I'm 33 years old, live in the Netherlands with my wife and 2 kids. Been doing SEO, so I looked it up, I think since 2008, so it's been a while. Since I'm from the Netherlands, my first job was helping a company at the flower auction, obviously, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, been doing SEO ever since. Added on CRO as the agency grew, and I figured that bringing in visitors is nice, bringing in revenue is better. So to have a better proposition, added CRO, and then later added YouTube as well, especially when I started creating my own videos, which I've published almost 500 videos online about SEO and conversion optimization.
Yeah, so you've definitely been at this a while, and you've got a roster already. So before we kind of get into the current position you're in and the operations with Google and lead generation and CRO and stuff like that, I'd like to first of all talk about the exit that you had with your agency, which got acquired by Leads.io. A lot of people in the SEO industry are going to be really interested in this because I've spoken to tons of agency owners who are looking to exit their agency, or they're looking to get some level of higher investment so that they can expand their agency in the coming years. What was the process like for you when you sold that agency and kind of got, because it wasn't a full sale, it was more of an acquisition because you then became a partner inside of the company as well, right? So what was that process like for you?
Yeah, so Leads.io wasn't a client of ours. So we've been working with them for quite a while before we got acquired, which I think helped because we knew the CEO, we knew the CMO, we had a very good relationship. So that obviously helped with the trust that is needed for an acquisition, because you're basically putting yourself and the rest of your team as part of a larger company. This already gave it a good feeling. I think most part of the process is figuring out what am I doing now and what do I think it's important and what will that future look like as part of Leads in my case. So you're talking about your own position. So things like as an agency owner, I was used to freedom, right? I just work whenever I wanted, which was usually like every day, but not starting at 9 per se, you know, those type of things that I think we as SEOs or as agency owners are used to. So I didn't want to lose something like that as being part of a larger company. So things that are really important to me, and the same goes for all the employees, obviously, like they needed to have the same type of work, the same kind of contracts, and a good future, maybe even a better future as part of a larger company. So I think you start out with considering what's important for you now and in the future. And based on that, you start the process of just having conversations like, do my expectations or the things I'm looking for line up with what the Leads.io needs to get out of this acquisition? And if those initial conversations go well and you feel confident and you also feel good about like the people and the culture and you get to know the company a bit more and their vision, then slowly but surely you start to talk more about like what would it look like what would the payment be, you know, the big bag of money, when would it happen, what would the contracts look like, and then you get into the more detail and more practical side. And all in all, it took a little over 6 months for that whole process to happen.
In terms of the actual process, when you kind of started talking about the figure that you were going to get paid, and then obviously working on the salary that you wanted to as well, were you taking into consideration that you were going to be a partner and getting paid that as well? Or was it just a consideration of you want to try and maximize the sale now so that you could potentially retire? Or what did you want to work for the company that you were getting acquired by in the first place? Was that your goal? Or were you looking to try and get a proper sale?
Yeah, so no, so actually my agency was growing so fast that I had trouble keeping it under control. So what I did is I made a growth curve for what would it look like and how much money do I think I could make if this trajectory kept up within a couple of years. So let's say 50% growth over the next 5 years. And what is Leeds growth looking like? Of course, it's an agency that's 10 times larger, so it's different numbers. And what is my potential there? So when it comes to specifically the financial thing, I wasn't looking for an exit specifically that day. I was just thinking about what would be the most valuable for me in the next 5 to 10 years, most likely. And then if you looked at their plan and their numbers and my plan and my numbers, it made sense to get acquired. But there's also the whole part of Leeds is just a much larger, more stable company. You know, they had an HR department, a finance department. So I could stop doing a lot of things I didn't like and start doing more of the things I did like. And in all honesty, it was 20 people, my agency, when it got acquired. So there are a lot of potential problems gonna pop up. You need to start changing your agency, get leadership in, get new software in. So I was at a point where I needed to invest a lot with a lot of risk associated, while Lead.io as a larger company already had all those things down. So there were many upsides in terms of financial, but also in risk mitigation and just me being happy. So on all those accords, it makes sense to get acquired.
Number one, that's a great problem to have, that the agency is kind of scaling beyond your own scope, right? I think a lot of agencies would love to be in that position in the first place. And then it's also great that I think that you kind of tailored the acquisition around your lifestyle as well, which a lot of people don't even think about. I think they think that when they get acquired, they're going to have to work for some corporate overlord, that they're going to have to be doing more red tape than they've ever done before. And actually, a lot of the time, you have, like you said, you have those teams in place that allow you to have more freedom to do the stuff that you're actually good at, and allow the HR department, the legal department to do all the kind of paperwork for you, right? Which previously as a business owner you would have to do yourself. So I think it's a great kind of path that a lot of people don't even really think about when they're looking at selling their business.
If you're getting acquired, it's your choice, right? You can put up the demand. So one of the things is that the HQ is in Hoorn, which is about an hour drives from here. So one of my first things was like, I'm not going to go to Hoorn every day. If you're expecting that, then we should stop right at the first minute. Yeah. And I'm just lucky that the leadership from Leeds said, well, we're looking for your company because you're doing really great the way you are now. So we don't want to change anything in that sense. And that I think has still been the case after 2 years now.
Yeah, well, like I said, it's a perfect kind of format for both of you, right? And that's what you want to kind of get out of an acquisition, is where both sides are really happy with what's working. Now that you have been acquired and now that you've been working with the kind of company for quite a long time, what is your day-to-day now looking like?
So I'm the search director, so in charge of anything organic, which means SEO, YouTube, and conversion optimization. And my role is very strategic, meaning I am in charge of creating the strategies and plans for the next few years. So how do we keep our sites from getting hit by Google updates? What businesses do we want to acquire to accelerate our growth? How are we gonna grow our current existing verticals that we're active in? How are we gonna add, how many people do we need in the next few years, and what is the team's going to look like? So anything that is beyond 12 months of thinking or working, and for anything that is like day to day or for this year, we have a fantastic management team who takes care of that thing. Where I'm involved in the day to day is if there are processes that we want to change, or if there are very specific, complicated questions about like migrations or structures or things like that.
Every time is actually kind of analysis oriented, right? Like analyzing other companies to acquire, analyzing the current existing campaigns, analyzing new campaigns, that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, and large process changes like digital PR, improving digital PR, going from, let's say, 10 links a week to like 100 links a week. How do we need to change the process in order to achieve that?
It's actually kind of like a consultancy role almost, where you're just looking at the business from a holistic overview and seeing the areas on what you can improve in terms of search and things like that, at least.
Yeah, but of course there's a lot of stakeholder management involved in getting, IT and resources and getting help from other sides of the marketing and sales, etc. Which is also part of me to make sure that everyone likes our plans and aligns with it, or that we need to adjust to whatever their needs are.
Well, that actually feeds into my next question, which was, how are you managing so many different sites, clients, campaigns, employees, documents, analysis, acquisition, right? Like, how are you managing all of this on such a kind of grandiose scope?
One of the things is when as an agency, we had a lot of SOPs. So one of the first things we started doing is bringing those SOPs into leads. And until this day, that's still one of the main responsibilities for management here, to make sure that everything we have is in an SOP on our shared drive internally. So that helps out a lot. But mostly it's just, I have a fantastic management team here with Chris Tyrell and Sean van Schaik taking over all the day-to-day. So it's not me doing that, actually. It's just a great management team active here.
The next question was actually going to be, what advice would you give to other SEOs looking to efficiently scale their own operations? But I also think that you kind of said part of that was potentially delegating to other people who are really good at those things. Like you just mentioned two people there that are really good at their respective roles. Is that part of it, where you delegate to people who are just amazing at their own stuff, or what would be the advice that you would give to SEOs who are looking to scale their operations right now?
Yeah, so definitely get great operations managers, and that helps a lot. But it's also about, I know where I want to be in 5 years, and then reverse engineering. All right, so what needs to happen this year in order to be there in 5 years? And that usually reveals a lot of bottlenecks, which could be, not having enough writers, as simple as that, or it could be not being efficient enough, being too small, not being active in certain areas. Maybe you're doing link building, but you're only doing guest posts. And then when you think about where you want to be in 5 years, thinking, well, I probably can't make that with just doing guest posts, so I need to add 3 more link building strategies to my arsenal. All right, so let's start with adding the first one this year.
Okay, so I want to kind of talk about a topic that I don't actually really cover on the channel, because I don't do local SEO, and I don't really do lead generation apart from CPA for like the financial niches, right? So one of the topics that is very, very popular and that I always get asked about, and that I think you're probably one of the best people in the industry to ask about, is rank and rent. So essentially ranking websites and then renting them on the basis that those leads that the websites generate can be sold for much higher value. If you have a plumber that you can rent a website for $500 a month to, one phone call can pay for that $500, right? So what are your thoughts on rank and rent as a business model, and potentially people at home using that business model for their own kind of success going forward?
So I think for rank and rent, most SEOs think, I create a website and once it ranks, I'm getting paid. And I think they're forgetting the whole sales part of it. So we have a very large sales force within our company who is contacting installers, whether they're nationwide, large installers, or very small local ones. And it takes a lot of work to actually be able to sell your things. I also think it's something that SEOs don't really like or enjoy particularly. So rank and rent is awesome. I mean, we sort of do that on a very large scale, but you also need to commit to doing the actual sales, because you can drive as much traffic and leads as if you want, but if you're only getting an X amount for your site per month, or an X amount per lead that you send, you're probably bottlenecking yourself, while good salespeople might be able to like triple that in 6 months. So I really like it. We're sort of doing it, but you have to do more than just SEO. You have to think like a business.
Final question I had for you wasn't actually specifically SEO focused. It is more around business making decisions, because I know that you have been heavily involved in CRO for a long, long time. And most people in the SEO industry, especially affiliate site owners, especially bloggers, especially even e-commerce site owners, to be honest, skip over CRO and just don't even think about it, right? And in my opinion, that's really stupid, because they'll heavily focus on a 5% traffic changing SEO technique, or, you know, getting a post to try and get 1,000 clicks on Facebook. But actually, if they spend, you know, a few hours improving their conversion rate, they double their revenue overnight, right? Which is very, very difficult to have that sort of a level of increase with just standard marketing activities. So what are your thoughts on implementing CRO, and have you got any kind of quick tips or quick wins for site owners to improve their conversions on their websites?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, right there, you should think like a business owner. And then the question is, if I put in €1 or £1 here, where do I get the most ROI? And I think for most traditional SEOs, it's probably not in SEO. It's in CRO. It might be in starting an email list. And I don't understand why SEOs are so precious about just doing that one thing and not thinking like a business and just thinking like, how can I make the most money? So I definitely agree with that. So we started doing CRO, I think like 8 years ago, something like that, quite a while back. And we've improved conversions for leads like a tremendous amount. There's no SEO way to get to those kind of levels of revenue without CRO. So if you're starting out with CRO, the best thing to have is a mentality that is, my website sucks. This is the worst website ever, and anything should be on the table to change or improve in order to improve conversions. If you have that mentality instead of having the SEO, like everything I've done is perfect because it ranks, that would help a lot. When it comes to the biggest mistakes made is not having proper call to actions or clicks at the above the fold. So having a great headline, a call to action there, and some USPs or some bullet points with the most important things, you will see that a lot of people don't feel the need to actually read your page. They're looking for some type of installer. They get to your page, they think this looks good, and they click, which is perfect. And then structuring your page, which is also kind of what you do with SEO, to make an argument to convince someone. So have an H2 that talks about prices, write down everything there is about the prices, and then add a new call to action block, because it could be the case that someone comes to your website, doesn't convert at the top, because he's thinking, I need to know something about prices, I need a range. So then he scrolls down and he reads your stuff about prices, and he could be convinced at that moment that, yeah, this is a right fit for me. So give him the opportunity to convert. If he's not satisfied yet, or if he has more questions, that person will scroll down, read the next bit of information, the next argument you can use to convince someone, and then add a new call to action block. So most pages should probably have one call to action block like every 500 words or something. I mean, could be more or less depending on if you have tables or calculator, things like that. I think that's the biggest gain we see when looking at competitors, when looking at sites we're going to acquire. And the biggest changes we implemented on our own website.
So I appreciate you for coming on, and I think a lot of people at home are going to get a ton out of this, because you gave a lot away around being acquired, agencies, scaling, CRO, lead generation, rank rent, everything, right? It's awesome. I'm looking forward to maybe having another talk with you soon. And I don't know if you're going to be at Changma SEO next month.
No, the wife wouldn't let me.
It's annoying. But hopefully I'll see you at Birmingham again next July then.
Potentially in Dubai. I might
Dubai.
be there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Even better then, because Dubai is going to be I think the best event next year, literally with some of the presentations that people are delivering. So I look forward to it. And thank you once again for being on. And is there anywhere that people at home can find you?
Yeah, so LinkedIn, I'm very active at LinkedIn, or bartvdm.com. We'll add a link in the description, and you can find more information about me there.
Perfect. Well, thank you. And I appreciate you for coming on. And thank you for you guys at home. Like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.